Hi everyone, this is Olga, and on this channel we're talking all things coaching, emotional intelligence, putting yourself on the top of your priorities list and really making your life the way you want to live it. And today we are continuing to talk about self-worth. We've got 3 videos in this series. The first one we talked about emotions and why we are dismissing our emotions, and in the second one we were talking about the needs and wants, why dismissing those and ignoring those is not such a good idea, and mainly what to do about it. And today we're talking about downplaying our achievements and our strengths and skills, everything that we bring to the table. Why modesty is not such a good thing, really. We will start with why we are downplaying ourselves. Then we will talk about the risks, what it can lead to if left unchecked. And finally, we'll talk about what you can do about it. So do like and subscribe if you find this useful, and let's dig in. The main route, surprise, surprise, is when we're growing up and adults around us, our parents maybe, are not very impressed with our achievements. Like, yeah, well, whatever, I already know how to do it. So they're not very impressed. And also, they may even criticize us for boasting. Boasting is bad, don't boast. I don't think I need to talk much about that. I think you all know what I'm talking about. The second one is when we are comparing ourselves. And again, it starts with childhood when others compare us to others. We're compared to other kids in school, who is the top of the class, who is not such a top of the class, etc., etc., etc. And we learn to compare ourselves to those who know more and those who perform better. The trap with comparison is that they feel objective. Objectively, there is always someone who knows more, who can do something better than us. But the problem is, well, we'll talk about the problems later. And even if we assume the more healthy version of don't compare yourselves to others, compare yourselves with yourself yesterday, that also can lead to downplaying our achievements because we're feeling, well, we're not there yet. There's always another goal. Our societies are very goal addicted, literally addicted. There is always something ahead that you need to strive for, and there is no time to stop and appreciate how far you've already become. So what's the problem, you might say? I just have a realistic picture of myself. There's no problem. Well, if you don't do anything about it and you just continue like this, what can it lead to? Well, the most obvious one is when you go for a new position in your career, or when you're asking for a pay rise, or when you want to put up your prices as a freelancer or a contractor, you might struggle with it. You might feel like, oh no, I can't really do that. I'm not worth that much. You know, imposter syndrome and all of that stuff. That's our thing. Number 2, you might not be even sharing what you've got with the world. You might just keep it to yourself because you feel like, well, it's a commonplace. Everybody knows it. I don't need to share it with anyone. There's others who know better than me, right? Well, if we're talking about myself, I'll just give you an example of myself. I thought that emotional intelligence is a commonplace, something that everybody knows, and no one needs me to talk about it to them. So if I continue to believe that thought, if I continued to have that attitude, this channel would never have happened. You would not be watching this video. Risk number 3, if you never take the time to appreciate what you've got and how far you have gone in your life, you're doomed to live a rat race where you're constantly racing for something new without any enjoyment, without any appreciation, without any fulfillment. Even those goals you set, when you reach them, you don't feel anything because there's always a new goal ahead. And it doesn't sound like a very fun life. So what do you do about it? I have 6 ideas. I'll say 5 because I don't have 6 finger. I'm holding my notes. So I have 6 ideas for you of what you can try right now. Again, therapy is great. Coaching is great to help undo those limiting beliefs. But you don't have to wait until you've done all of that. You can do something right now. And you can start living to the fullest right now. So what can you do? Number 1 is just starting to notice when you feel the pull to downplay yourself, when you feel the pull to downplay your achievements, to dismiss them, to not talk about them. Notice the pull. Notice when you're not owning your own experience, your own skills, your knowledge, everything that you bring to the table. Notice when you're not owning it. And notice the situations where you don't show yourself fully. Just notice. The start is just to notice. Sometimes just noticing it is enough in itself and you don't need to do anything else. But you can do more. So number 2, look out for role models and examples, especially if you feel like picking at them for boasting because they've been so boasty and you don't like them. Usually what we don't like and what we envy is something that is an area of growth for ourselves. So look at them. How do they feel about themselves? What do they do? Those people who feel comfortable talking about what they know, those people who feel comfortable talking about what they bring to the table, collect those examples. It can be people you know personally, it can be characters from movies or books. It doesn't matter. Any example counts. Why do we need those examples? Because the brain doesn't care whether it's something you can imagine or something you did in real life. If brain can imagine it possible, it can do it. That's how our brains work. And then you can literally use them as role models. When you are in that situation, when you notice you're starting to downplay yourself, you're thinking like, well, how would X do this? How would X talk about their experiences? Number 3, what you focus on expands. And what I mean by that is our brains train like predictive search. We talked about it when we talked about neuroplasticities. I'll attach the video for you here. But the more you train the brain to look for achievements, the more it will notice achievements. The more you train the brain to not notice your achievements, the more it will ignore those results because they're not relevant to your search. So you could sit down, take a piece of paper, take a big piece of paper and write down 50 or maybe even 100 things that you're good at, things that others seek your advice and help on, things that you can talk about for hours. Those things are the areas of your strengths. Those things are the ones that you can offer to the world. The trick is, do not stop after the first 3 or 4. Do not listen to the little voice that says, you don't know anything. There are so much more people who know more than you. Don't listen to that voice. Let it sit there. Just don't let it stop you. You don't have to fight it right now. Focus on writing down all those things that you're good at, all those things that you've achieved, all those things that people look to you for. Because people definitely look to you for something. You just need to notice it. Number 4, at the end of the day, try focusing on the things you have done, not on the things you haven't done. Again, we're training the brain to notice what we have achieved. Not all of the things on our enormous to-do list that had never had a chance to even get done. And maybe a more realistic, shorter to-do list will help with that as well. But they can go hand in hand. Now, number 5 is for those of you who have children. Just ask yourself, do you want your children to be confident? Probably you'll say, yeah, well, of course, sure. We all do, right? Now, children don't learn from what you tell them. If you tell them they're smart, they're not going to believe you. Well, not necessarily. But if you act like you know that you are smart, you yourself as their parent know that you are smart, they will learn that they can believe that they are smart. That's how it works. Not about what you tell them about them, but how you act about yourself. And number 6, it's again for all of us, seek out people who will bring you up, not those who will bring you down. If your social circles are toxic, if your social circles downplay yourself and your experiences and your knowledge and constantly tell you, like belittling you, constantly telling you like, well, you're not really that important, you're not really that worthy, you don't really bring too much. Maybe it's time to look at that. Maybe it's time to address it. You can have big conversations with your family, with your friends. You can look into it. You can start seeking out those people who support you, those people who build you up. Because honestly, if you're living in a toxic environment, it's really hard to break free while staying there. You kind of really need to break free. And this is really it from me for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it gave you some food for thought. Do comment down below what you're thinking about, what I could help you with. And stay tuned. I'll see you all next Wednesday. Have a good week.